On method references, let's walk through from the previous examples that we've been using so far. So we'll still be working with our person class from a previous example. Then we will work solely in the main method. So I'll walk us through it, okay? So here's our list of persons. Then here is how we iterate through every person. Then from that, we are creating an array from that list, or we are converting the list into an array. What we want to do, or what we're attempting to accomplish in this code, is to compare every person to the other by their age. So in that case, we can work with a local class, and this local class is implementing a functional interface comparator. And with that, it is overriding compare from comparator. In fact, let me just add overriding here so we can be sure that is what is happening. So it is overriding compare from the comparator functional interface. You can check that out from java.util.comparator, and it's also been imported in the code, as you'll see in GitHub over here. So there you go. Okay, so I'll just go back. Now, if I wanted to work with the comparator so that I can sort my people or persons, my members, accordingly, then if I'm not working with a method reference, I can call on sort from array and pass in the roster, which is an array, and pass in the comparator. So I'll have us look at this bit here. This is the sort method in the documentation. It is expecting an argument, which is an array, and it is also expecting a comparator. So arrays sort, I'm passing in an array, which is rosters as array, as we have converted it from the list persons. And then I'm passing in the instance of the comparator, which is person age comparator. Okay. Now this is without a method reference. Work with me. Given that we had learned about Lambda functions and how they're an implementation of an interface, a functional interface, then we can have, in place of this comparator, we can have a Lambda function. It doesn't look very compact, I know. Yeah, but it's possible to have that, right? As we've learned from the previous session. Now, another way that we can have our Lambda function, which is example 2, is like this. So on this one, our Lambda function is passing into elements that need to be compared, and it's working with compare by age, a static method from the class person. So I'll just scroll down to compare by age here, as we already saw in the previous class. So we have person A and person B. Compare by age is expecting two parameters. It has two parameters, so it's expecting two arguments, and it's going to return the result of comparing the birthday of person A to the birthday of person B. So here we go. That is one way of working with it. Now, when a Lambda function is doing nothing but calling an existing method, like in this example, then you can just work with the method reference. And a method reference here is to just call that method directly, like this. So this is the syntax. You work with the name of either the class, depending if it's a static method, of course, you just work with the name of the class. If it's not a static method, then you work with the class instance or reference to the class. So here we go, person hyphen full colon, then compare by age. Okay, so this is more compact than this one. So you'd find that sometimes when a Lambda function is just going to refer to one method that is already existing, you prefer to work with the reference, the method reference directly. So it seems more compact than all the other examples we've seen. Now this is a reference to a static method. If you would like to refer to an instance method, then you need to go via the object reference of that class. For example, we have compare by name in class comparison, whatever, provider. Then we've created an object from it by the name my comparison provider. I really struggle with this one. And then we can, when we're working with sort, we can pass in the instance or the object of that class, and then full colon, or double full colon, and call the method. So this is still a method reference, but it is referencing an instance method. Okay, so the rules of static versus instance methods apply there, as you see. Another way is to have a reference to an instance method of a particular type. Like in this example, we have a string of arrays. Then we are passing in that array and then the type, which is a string, and compare to ignore case method. So we can have that. Then there is this one. This one is referencing a constructor. So I'll just move this up here. This is making a reference to a constructor. Actually, let me move it here. Yeah, so this is a reference to a constructor. With a reference to a constructor, we're already seeing sets. We'll talk about sets later. We'll also talk about generics later. So I really wish there are some things that we'd already have known. Although if you're coming from a different programming language, it might be what you've already covered. Bear with me, I'll just walk us through method reference discussion in this case. So we have this example here where we have the set rosters, set lambda, and then we are calling on transfer elements from this, and it's expecting a roster, which is our list from the top, and a lambda function is acceptable as an argument. So we can have it like this, or we can just decide to work with a method reference to a constructor, because it's just that the lambda function is nothing but a call to a constructor, or yeah. So we can just have it like this, and that will be that. More about sets and generics later. Now, for more examples, you can work with this link in GitHub. It's also in the description. And you can also practice some more with what we've covered, from nested classes to local classes to anonymous classes to Lambda expressions, using this link, which is also in the description and also in the code on GitHub. And have some practice so that you can solidify all these concepts, because they've been covered in different segments. There's some practice questions that I have attached in the description as part of your independent practice. See you on the next one.